Hey, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. How are you all doing? This is Lady Des of Real Love Ministries Live. And let me tell y'all, I am super excited about tonight because we have been talking for maybe the past few months about the Rise Up Wealth Summit. And tonight, we're just basically going to do the recap. And we have Glenn Payne back with us. He is the chief executive officer of the Rise Up Wealth Summit, and he's with us on tonight. And also his PR, public relations, my girl, Miss Sharice Lenore. And y'all know who's there down at the bottom, Mr. MJ Smith, my partner in the WMBM shenanigans and everything, right? My right hand. My right hand, MJ Smith of AM 1490 WMBM. So we're just going to have a great evening of great conversation on tonight. And we want to invite you all in. You know, if you want to learn about wealth and generational wealth and providing a legacy or just creating a legacy for your family, tonight is the night that you can get some inside scoop on what the Rise Up Wealth Summit is all about. All right. So thank you all for tuning in. And we're just going to go ahead and dive right in and get started. Mr. Glenn Payne, how you doing?
I am incredibly well tonight. Thank you so much for having us on tonight.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So listen, tell everybody yourself and what you do and what the Rise Up Wealth Summit is all about.
So my story would be: by day, I'm a project manager. By night, I am the founder of Legacy Lives Here, a nonprofit organization here in South Florida that focuses on two major areas: financial literacy and entrepreneurship empowerment. And this is our 5th year in existence as a nonprofit, but our 6th year of doing the annual events. The events are targeted to impact our community, whether you're a single parent, individual, children, youth, whatever it may be. It's all about building generational wealth. That's why I'm tagged myself as a chief generational chain breaker, because I believe that God has entrusted me to raise up a nation of generational chain breakers to see themselves free and live a life they've always wanted to live.
Awesome. Now let's talk about the Wealth Summit. When was the Wealth Summit? I can't even remember the date.
April 27th.
Yes. It was April 27th this year, everybody. And I'm personally, I had a phenomenal time from beginning to end, Glenn. It shows that you and your team, your heart went into this Rise Up Wealth Summit. And I just wish, listen, I was there. I started texting people like, you should have been here. I wish you were here. Some of them were out of town. Some of them were in town. When I saw my children, you know, I expressed the same thing, that I wish that they were there to just glean and to hear this information that you were providing. Everything was stellar, I must say. You all put your heart into it. You gave it your all. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for what you're doing in the community, because this is so much needed, especially in the Black culture.
Very much so. Very much so.
So MJ, I want you to kind of chime in there.
I was going to let you finish, because the first thing I wanted to ask Glenn was, you know, what projects he managed. Is that in Dade or Broward County?
Pardon? MJ, I'm gonna lay hands on you in Jesus' name. Pray for you.
No. But seriously, even from, you know, just arriving, being greeted in the parking lot, going from the parking lot to the lobby of the facility that we were in, stellar. When I tell you, you know, the people in the parking lot was smiling and welcoming you, and there was someone helping you cross the street. I'm like, yo, where we at?
I'm telling you, pressing the stoplight and everything for you, right?
Absolutely. And then getting upstairs and having like no hassle with check-in. Oh, we know who you are. Come on in. Listen, top notch from beginning to end. And when we talk about speakers, Mark Coley, phenomenal. Brianna
Yes. Oh my
Anderson, who
God.
told us about credit. Listen, top notch. Dr. Jessica, I started trying to trade that day. And then Mr. Faust, who talked about financial and insurance, something that our community doesn't want to talk about.
No.
Listen, that dude was definitely on fire. And then I cannot not mention Lady Sharice.
Come on.
I tell you, she gave us inspiration as well as a word and encouragement and a business plan all in one. The Glenn, you sent out a text and you asked, rate it from 1 to 5. Sir, 5 was not high enough. It really wasn't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And MJ and now, we were in the studio and we was having a whole discussion about it. 5 isn't enough
No,
for what you all provided that day. I can't see how anybody left there with the same mindset. and,
definitely.
and if they did, it's because they didn't want to receive. The information was there. It was like a life check for me personally.
Yeah, yeah,
you know
definitely.
and I looked at my husband, I looked at MJ, I was like, oh, so what's
What
up,
we gonna do?
what we gonna do? Because it was such a motivation. When I say it was such a motivation, and just a whole mindset change, because I came from more of a corporate environment, right? And now it shifted into more of an entrepreneur type, free flowing atmosphere, and I wasn't accustomed to that. So I'm all at the same time. Although it's so good and I'm enjoying it, it's definitely a life changing. Um, it's a life changing event for me. It really is, and I was trying to grasp it all. So this was just an icing on the cake. Go ahead,
And not
MJ.
and not only that, Des, the most important part was that even though we talked about how to empower ourselves, they really hit home when they were telling us how to go about making that wealth generational. It wasn't just a name. It was really a workshop on how to make it last, how to make it go beyond just you and your son or your child. It was about grandkids and taking it further than that. And that for me was definitely life changing.
Absolutely. And they left nothing unturned. Nothing from the goodie bags, uh the items that are in, everything led to the rise up. Like, it's time for you to rise up in this season. It's no time for sleeping, procrastinating, or any of those things. You have to make this thing happen, for not only for you, like you said, MJ, but for your whole family that's coming up after you.
And
And
that's one reason why we made the theme Elevate 360, because Rise Up itself is rising you up, but then it's time to elevate in every single area of your life, your mental state, your finances, your health, your wealth, everything. That's what the whole theme is about, pushing people, thrusting people into making that change today, not tomorrow, because guess what? Tomorrow or even today is not even promised to any of us. So now it's time to make the change. So that's why we push the whole theme of Elevate 360.
absolutely.
It first came to me, I've been pivoting to the point where I'm now into a new position in my job. I didn't plan for it. I didn't ask for it. I just got pivoted. It's time to rise up.
It's time to rise up.
Well, Glenn, speaking of pivot, and since we're doing the recap, how did this how did you make that dream come become a reality? Tell us about how Rise Up got started.
Honestly, Rise Up, the whole background of the whole thing was a simple workshop in my local church back then, many over 8 years ago, where I did FPU, which is called Financial Peace University by Dave Ramsey. I popped on a video, shared it with a few people in church, did the whole 9 week course, teaching people, coaching them through the different lessons, and seeing the change in people's lives. I literally saw this one lady, which I never forget, by the third or fourth week, cut up all her credit cards, and she started calling all the people she owed. Listen, all the subscriptions. I got Netflix. She started cutting. By the time she was at her 7th week, this lady had already paid off so much debt. She even found bills that was coming out auto debit on her account. And she's like, I didn't know that was there. She saved so much money that it made me realize, light bulb, this needs to go beyond my church. So I opened up to other churches coming in, the same classroom setting, and it grew and grew until it became where it is today now. Originally, Rise Up was called Legacy Conference because I saw the need to build legacies. And in last year, we changed the name from Legacy Conference to Rise Up. And the reason why I got the theme was when God gave me the vision after COVID-19. A lot of people have been beaten down and given up on everything and say, well, it's too late for me. So God says, now it's time to rise up, my people. So that's where the whole phrase rise up came from.
Okay.
Absolutely. You know, and I want to pose this question to Sharice Lenore. Let me tell you, she closed that thing out. You hear me?
No, she didn't. She
I
dropped
took pictures of her PowerPoint. Like the whole time she was up there, I was just in awe. And
she literally dropped the mic and just ran to the airport because when she was done, it was over.
And listen, y'all, she just sitting there so humble. Don't let that fool you. Pretty and humble.
But she got a whole lot of knowledge over there.
Listen, she a pit bull. She is a pit bull. And I just wanted her to come in on this because, you know, and I know I understand that it's for everybody, but I really want to pose this as a more Black cultural question for our community, right? It's like, why is it so hard for us to get into that whole mindset shift, right? Of being legacy carriers, generational wealth legacy carriers, feeling like we have to fake it like we got it. But in all actuality, if you take the right measures, you can really have it. This is open to everybody. It's not limited to a particular culture. So can you kind of just elaborate on that, Sharice?
Yeah. First of all, thank you all for being here. Let me know if you can hear me because this keeps freezing on my end.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. All right. So thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure and honor. I feel so privileged to be with Lady Des and MJ. Y'all don't even understand the celebrities y'all got in the house to have little old me and Glenn on here. You know, we must be doing something right to be blessed to be on this show. But in all seriousness, words matter. And that is one of the things that I learned very early in life. We used to be told as kids growing up, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. When it is one of the biggest untruths, words have the power to create. And if you go back to the beginning, everything that was created what? With words. And so you made a very important statement. You said, why do we have to go through the fake it till we make it? And it is because that's what we have released in the atmosphere. We know all about faking it, but we don't know what it takes to actually become the thing that we are talking about. We talk real good about it, but becoming what we talk about is two totally separate things. And there have not really been real examples that have been out there to show us what it looks like to actually make it beyond the fakery part. We can put up pretty websites. We can live in nice houses that we can't afford to be in. We can showcase and make it seem as if we have arrived. But behind closed doors, many are struggling. Many can't pay their bills. Many are one paycheck away from being broke. We have been forced to live a fake lifestyle of having success, but don't have it. It's almost like
Sharice, I think you are now having some reception issues. It's breaking up.
Okay, hold on.
But there's as Sharice was speaking, once again, you know, in our community, we always hide behind that mask. There we go again. You know, and social media has made it so much easier, you to put on this persona, to put on, these airs when, like Cherie said, a lot of us just one paycheck from being broke.
Absolutely.
Reach you back, dude.
I don't know. Hold on.
I
It's
hear
frozen on my
you.
end.
Okay.
You're right, MJ. And we have had this discussion, maybe actually today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I saw you in live talking about the same mask wearing. So hey, that's a good point you bring up right there, MJ.
Knowing that this mask is suffocating us, it's taking the life out of us, but we find it so much comfortable, seem like, in hiding it. It's, if you don't have it, it's okay to say you don't have it. And we put ourselves in situations where we're faking it, right? And then you have people building you up off of the fakery. And now it's like a lot of times you're so far gone, you don't really know how to find your way back and let your truth be known, especially financially. You look and you see all of these proms and baby shower. I mean, just elaborate stuff. And then you see they don't really have the money for their light bill. They don't have the money for their mortgage.
Listen, you hit my corn right there by talking about. I went on social media and I saw these people having these elaborate. It's like a wedding for a baby shower. And my question I always want to ask is, do you already have the child's college fund set aside?
Do you have
to put on a show?
Do you have life
baby?
Exactly.
You're having a baby. The baby's not even here yet to see the flowers and the fancy thing. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a baby shower, but how about taking
half of that money that you just spent on that baby shower, and like I think it was Mr. Foss said, you know what, we don't know what a trust is. A lot of us don't. So take that money, put that money in a trust, and let it make money for the baby.
Absolutely.
Like literally, there's a video where the guy CEO, his name right now, Mark Zuckerberg, who's having his first or second baby. The baby shower was literally a few guys on a table with ladies with pizza, wings, just some music on, and they were instead of bringing gifts like stuff, they brought like checks and cash and things for the baby. Yeah, but it was more things to help to take the child the next stage of life.
And Glenn, let me tell you, one of the stories that really touched me was Brianna, when she was telling us about her young son, who's already at 14, already's got his own business, and how she was already making sure that the properties that she has, he'll be able to have twice as much. It is stories like that
he actually owns the property already.
Exactly. He owns it.
And he even have his own clothing line that his fellow classmates and schoolmates. It's the point where the school yearbook featured him and his clothing line.
Wow.
And when we're growing up, a lot of times they tell us that, oh, don't be afraid to dream. But in reality, a lot of times the dreams that we have, we're held back mentally from generational stuff.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot of that has been going on, like Sharice was getting ready to say. It's just that we don't have because we don't know. And that has always been something that has been a burden to our community. It's like, and I'm going to say this and get mad if you want. They've always said, and I say they've always said, if you want a black person to ignore, put it in a book.
Right.
So it's things like that where people have preconceived notions already of, one, who we are, what they want us to know, and how far they are going to attempt to let us go. But when you build that generational wealth and you pass it on, that's something they can't stop.
Absolutely. And these are why these wealth summits.
Exactly.
Yes. And that's why these wealth summits are so very important. And, I think over the next few weeks, I am definitely going to stay in this vein because many don't know, but I work in the I have started working in the court system for the fact for the stop it, MJ, for the past few months, and the whole facade of faking things, because I see a lot of credit card fraud, a lot of schemes and sheams and wizards and skizzits, fraudery of people trying to be something that they're not. You understand? They're stealing out of these high-end stores and going to sell it and making it seem like they have something. Listen.
Well, they do have something. If they stole it and they went and sold it, they got something.
Really, MJ?
I'm just saying. I mean, let me get my hands on a couple of Michael Kors right out of the trunk of the Kia, baby.
No. but MJ, though, at the summit, they spoke a lot about fraudery, scamming.
Yeah.
They were very precise and just heavy in that area.
Right.
Because especially in our culture, that's what they look for. They look for us to be scheming and scamming and all of this different things. Now, not saying that you don't have the mind or the smarts to have your own business and to do what you need to do, but you just got to take it through the right channels.
And that's exactly what Brianna was saying. As long as you go through the right channels, you can make sure that your credit goes from a 400 to an 800 in no time. And
Absolutely.
Then you want to make sure that, you can do certain things with your children to make sure by the time they're out of high school, that they have X amount of dollars in the bank and that their credit score is already at a 750 or 800. And those are the things that we have not been taught as a generation. And right now is the time to learn and to pass that on, because for the longest, we always thought that health insurance, that life insurance was for what? For us to bury someone in the family. And that's not what it's for.
Right.
But
absolutely.
If our generation, if our culture, because that's what it is, if our culture doesn't know, then that's where the problem lies. That's why more people need to get out to summits like the Rise Up Summit, because this is where they break down that information and they tell you step by step. It's a lot to grasp, but it's there. So like I told Glenn, for the next Rise Up Summit, I'm definitely there, and we are definitely going to be shouting it out because this is something that people need to know.
Absolutely. Now, Sharice, you're back.
My computer doing something weird, so I was like, let me just hop on the iPad for a little bit, and hopefully this don't die while I'm waiting on my computer. But anytime you get ready to talk about something real, the enemy likes to come in and try to shut it down. So
yes,
right,
we're not gonna let that happen. This is kind of weird. I feel like I'm looking into. I feel like that probably ain't gonna be politically correct. What I was about.
Look right here. Look right here. Yeah, right here.
There you go.
You're good.
But because I feel like I'm looking at the camera, but then when I look over here, I feel like I'm looking a different way. It's very, very weird. But anyway,
that angle is good, right here.
Yeah, that angle right there.
Perfect.
Look cross-eyed.
Yeah. Well, don't.
But that's the best. That's the best angle.
You look fabulous, darling. You look fabulous.
But I was still listening to the conversation through my phone, and all that you said, MJ, honestly was exactly the direction that I was going. A lot of times, in order to change a culture, it takes more than just a mindset shift. I think we're in a place where we need to literally throw away everything we've been taught.
Yeah.
Because what we've been taught is so embedded in us to where we don't know no other way. Mm-hmm. And so I think we're at a place to where when I think about a lot of the conferences that I've gone to, even some that I've hosted in the past, some that I've been a part of, things of that nature, we do a whole lot of talking. We do a whole lot of high capping. We do a whole lot of, oh, look at me and look at what I've accomplished. We do a whole lot of giving you bits and pieces on this is what you can do to make this happen. But the one thing that is missing is the actual practicality and application of that thing. And when we get to that place to where we're beyond just a showcase, when we're beyond just the big names, when we're beyond that, but we're bringing in real people, living real lives, accomplishing real things, and they're sharing their truths, no matter how ugly it is, and they're showing you the steps to get there. Now we can change the trajectory of our future. Now we can actually become generational chain breakers. The one thing that I love about Glenn and Alphysha Payne and this, what they have created, and the vision of where they are looking to take this, is that they understand what is needed in the Black and Brown communities. For one, they understand the application that needs to take place. They understand the missing links that we are missing when it comes to financial education. Even in, I heard him talk about the courses that he did in his old church to Dave Ramsey, even in being able to take that course and break it down for us. I think the one thing that we miss as a people is that we take what worked for Lady Des and we try to apply what Lady Des did the way she did it. We try to, MJ now tries to apply that to MJ. And it's not going to work for MJ. Why? Because what worked for Lady Des was specific to her entire situation.
Absolutely.
The problem that we have with a lot of these people that are making money and influence and all of that is that they're not giving you the full story. Yes, I became a multimillionaire, but let me tell you where I was at. Let me tell you what my credit was. Let me tell you what I lost out on. Let me tell you what I was doing on the back end. Let me tell you how I got there and the steps that it took to get there. Yeah, I can work on my credit and I can fix that. Yes, I can go and I can change my mindset with how I look at money and all these things. But it first starts internally. I gotta first deal with the enemy inside of me. I got to defeat that internal enemy that says, I can't really share my truth because now I'm worried about people judging me. Now I'm worried about people looking at me crazy. Now I'm worried about people not wanting to work with me because now they think this, that, and the third. But when I'm willing to strip down and stay before God and say, okay, God, this is who I am. This is where I'm at, but this is where you called me to be. If you call me to be a multimillionaire, God, I don't really know how to manage $100. I get $100 in my pocket. I got 5 bills that need to be paid. And I'm thinking, well, this $100 ain't gonna pay them 5 bills. So, child, let me go and order something on DoorDash. Let me go to the store and get me this. Let me just go ahead and take care of that. We don't have the mindset to say, how do I take this $100 and how do I flip it to $1 million? And so we have to be real with where we currently are in our own personal life, which goes back to the environment you personally was raised up. What was the influence that you saw in your home that you grew up, looking at? I was talking to someone the other day and they were sharing with me how someone that they know who's a pastor, and on the outside looking in, he has this charmed life. However, their child is struggling. Why? Because as a man, you don't know financial literacy, you don't have good credit skills, you don't know how to save, you don't know how to actually teach that. You're getting businesses, it's failing, and you're starting over. You're in severe debt and all of these things. But on the outside, and to everybody looking around, you got it going on, but you cannot teach that, and you're not showcasing that. And those that are close to us, they know our truth. So if I'm out here trying to fake the funk like I got it together, and my child living in the house with me, my child sees my truth, and then they begin to replicate that. And so I think one of the first keys to us truly building generational wealth, it requires us to, one, be real with ourselves and where we are. Number two, it requires us to destroy the whole mindset that we have about money, because many of us don't have good relationships with money as it is. I just got off of a Zoom with my client, and her whole thing was, I don't really want to charge people a whole lot. I'm dealing with single mothers and their income is limited. And I had to dispel that myth because I challenged her. I said, okay, if you charge $60 to do a little girl's hair, and the mother comes in knowing that you'll go down on her price, your price, if you give a sad story, so instead of the $60, you charging the $10. But if you told that same mother, I got tickets to see Beyonce, I got a $1,200 section, I'm gonna sell you the ticket for $250, you got backstage passes, all of a sudden you didn't have $60 to make sure your child is confident and feel good and secure and hair is done. But you got $250 for a ticket. Let's not talk about the hairdo you finna go get slayed to the gods. Let's not talk about the makeup you finna slay to the gods. Let's not talk about the money you're gonna find for the outfit. And so I think as a culture, our priorities are in the wrong place. And so when we think about money and wealth, the Bible says money answereth all things. And so if it's supposed to answer things, then that means God has made you the answer to a question. But what we're trying to do with money, while we can't hold on to it, while we have nothing to pass on to generations, while we don't know how to build it, while our credit will be 700 today and 500 tomorrow, is because when we get this income, when we get these ideas, we think it is so that we can turn up for social media, so that we can go buy all of these cars that we can't afford, that we can buy these houses that after a couple of years you can't keep up the note, that we can live these extravagant lifestyles. So what, you got Gucci badges and Pradas and Chanel's and all of that. Half of the crap we walking around with ain't even real on top of that. But you're faking a lifestyle that you don't really live. And then when it's time to showcase that or share that with other individuals, generational wealth building is beyond what's in your household. It is the people that you influence in your everyday life, whether you choose to be an influencer or not. When you show up on your job, when you're in your community, when you're at your church, the people in your family, when you live a certain way or portray yourself to be a certain way, what you are saying is, I have put myself as a place of an example, but can you teach these individuals how to get to where you are? The reality of it is you can't, because one, you don't know how you got there. Two, you don't know how to keep it. And three, you don't even know the steps that it takes to build a strong foundation. We have a lot of financial houses being built on quicksand.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's a word.
And so what Glenn did with the Rise Up Wealth Summit is it began to speak to every area. You want to be sustainable? You want to leave a legacy? First of all, do you even understand what that legacy means? And the reality of it is, every one of us that leaves this earth realm will leave a legacy.
Absolutely.
We're going to leave one, whether you're trying to or not. Your legacy is either going to be, oh yeah, you know, Lady Dad, she was on the radio, she was doing good and all this, but child, she looked good on the radio, but child, behind closed doors, girl, we had to do a GoFundMe just to bury her because she ain't got no life insurance. But baby, when she stepped at that house, she looked good. You know what I'm saying? No matter whether we're trying to or not, we are going, our life speaks for us, whether we want it to or not. Our character, our integrity, how we deal with people, how we deal with ourselves, and what happens in your private life. You can post to be somebody all day long, but baby, God and those that are with you day by day know the truth. And so that starts the process of building legacy. And so what I think we need to do is, I think we need to change the concept of, let me show you how to recreate the right legacy. Because Absolutely. What we've been creating so far, as we've been living, as we've been moving, as we've been walking through this earth realm, isn't the right thing. It is okay. We're the only culture that don't know how to come and say, you know what, MJ, what I showed you the last 5 years, let me apologize. It was wrong. You know, I know I was showing you this, and it's what I thought was the right thing, but it's not. That's going to give you quick money, but it's not going to give you sustainable money. That's going to let you live nice now, but it's not going to allow you to build nothing for the future. And so when Glenn brings in people such as a Rashawn Foss, who teaches on life insurance and teaches on IULs, when he brings in the Brianna Andersons, who teaches on not just how to restore your personal credit, but how to build business credit, when he brings in the Mark Coleys of the world, who teaches about mindset, when he brings in the Dr. Jessica Clements, who talks about, now let me show you an additional stream of income that you can make. When you bring in the Jadina Gustavos, who spoke the first year that I was there, who talks about legacy and estate planning and how to protect that and live in trust, which is something you should be doing right now if you're a person of color and you own any entity. When you bring these individuals, the Genevieve Harrises, who comes in and teaches our youth, the Shay, I can't think of her last name, who comes in and teaches our youth all of these different concepts. Now what you're able to do is you're able to start the process of unlayering the issues, digging up the issues to now lay a better foundation for you to now understand what legacy is, number one, how to rebuild it, number two, and how do I now start creating generational wealth, because it's more than money. Generational wealth is mindset. Generational wealth is your character. Generational wealth is your assets. Generational wealth is more than just how much money you're leaving in your bank account.
Sharice, I have a question, and my question is as a community, we have been taught for so long that it's always about me. And I think that's part of why we, one, can't come together as a community. Two, why we can't share secrets to, if I got $1 million, here's how you can make yours.
Absolutely.
We don't want to share that type of information because in my mind, I'm talking about me, MJ, in my mind, people feel as though it's not enough out there for all of us to share. So if I can't share, if I don't think it's enough to share, I'm going to keep it to myself. And that's doing nobody any good.
Or I feel that if I share this, you're going to do better than me, supersede better than me. Yes. And then I'm going to feel like nothing. And, you know, we have had this conversation so many times, MJ, about, you know, how we share information. And, you know, if I know something and I see that it is valuable, I'm going to share it with my husband. I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to share it with my children. I'm going to get the word out. Even I remember when Glenn first presented this whole wealth summit to me. I want to say maybe 2 years ago. Yes. And he said, I think, Glenn, correct me if I'm wrong. He was like, he was so nervous to give it to me. And like, oh, like, how would I accept it? But I instantly, when I saw it, I knew that this was something very valuable for our community to know about. Because let me tell you, I was still working with the state at the time. However, I knew that it was always something more. And I thought if I went to school, if I bought my house, I'd done all of that. I got my car. I'm good. But that's not the case. And I wanted to share what Glenn shared with me to my children, because I wanted them to know, don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. And you're so right, Sharice, about going back and said, you know what? I'm sorry. This is what I thought it was, or this is how I thought it should have been. But you know what? Nah, that's not it. And I told them, I want you all to understand that you have options.
And to MJ's point, you know, I'm going to always take everything back to the word of God. That's just who I am. I'm not going to try to hide that. But the book of Acts tells me in the 2nd chapter, the 44th verse, and all the believers met together in one place and shared everything they had.
Come on.
The problem of where we are now is that we are in the age where we're still stuck in the church age and not the kingdom age. The church age is about self-identification. I don't like the way the Methodists doing it, so I'm going to create the Pentecostal move. I don't like the Pentecostal move, so I'm going to take the apostolic move. But apostolic don't like the way they doing it, so now you got this move over here. You got Church of God, you got Church of God of Christ. You got everybody trying to create their own individuality when that's not who God created us to be as a people. Yes, your person is individual, but what we were sent in this earth realm to do is kingdom, right? And so when you are trying to do everything yourself, you become the big I, and there is no I in team. When
absolutely.
We're building kingdom as a kingdom, then now we're working together. But we now live in a society where it's okay to gatekeep. I learned this over here, and I'm not going to share this with Glenn, with MJ, and with Lady Des, because I went through hell to get this. I cried for this. I sweated for this. I lost for this. And so the mindset is no longer, hey, that's my brother and my sister. If I went through this, why do they need to go through this if I've already been there? And we don't understand that God allows us to go through situations. The storm is heavy because I have the capacity to handle the storm. Where if the storm was given to MJ hasn't been given the same measure as Sharice. And so Sharice became that ram in the bush that God provided Abraham because he knew Isaac could not handle that level of sacrifice. So when the ram came and he stepped in for the sacrifice, that sacrifice did what? It allowed Isaac to now become the father of so many, and God's promise to Abraham to be the father of many nations was able to now move forward. But if we don't do that, which is what we're saying, we're not doing that. We're gatekeeping. I'm going through, oh, well, I went through it, honey. If you want it, you're going to pay me. And then we put these astronomical numbers. Pay me 50,000, pay me 100,000, pay me 5,000 for an hour of my time. Don't get me wrong. I do believe that we should be paid our worth. I do believe that 100%, right? I get that. But at the same time, a lot of people are charging prices that you don't have the capacity, the integrity, or the character to even charge. You have the know-how. So you learn the thing, but you haven't mastered the thing. And so just because I go to school and I learn how to do something, applying that thing is different. When I went to Bethune-Cookman College and I studied and my career goal was to leave school and to work in marketing and advertising. I was going to live in downtown Manhattan in one of the high-rise apartments. I was going to be the beast in that field. After school, you know what they say? Do you have experience? I had none. And so my profession had to change. And so I ended up getting a job at the Bank of Boston, working in the REO department, going into a whole nother field because I had to learn something in order to do something. It wasn't just given. You understand? It wasn't right to me. And so I had to perfect my craft to become a SME. But many of us, we are going to these 5-minute schools, getting a degree, getting a certification. Oh, you're a life coach of this, you're a business coach of that. But we have no true proof. We have no true sustainability. We have no success record. And right out the gate, you now want to charge people $10,000 for something you ain't even mastered.
Once again, that's what happens when you sit behind that mask. You have all these degrees and you can do all of this, but where is the documentation? Where is the proof?
The experience.
I think it was the young lady who was on the panel who had said that she was gifted a house. Okay,
yes, Lashandra.
But it didn't tell her all of the other things that it took to keep the house up.
To keep the house.
The maintenance. They don't tell you all of that. So here you go with trial and error trying to figure it all out when somebody could have politely said, okay, with you being gifted this house, along comes the taxes. After the taxes, you have to pay for the upkeep. And, eventually your property will go up. And if your property goes up, then you can do X, Y, and Z with it. These are things that our community, we hold this, like Cherie said, gatekeeping, because I don't want to see you do better than me. When in actuality, there's enough room for each and every one.
Exactly.
And you know what? I always said, what God has for me, it is for me. What God has for you, it is for you. Nobody can't take that away from you. So we as a community, we really need to share this information. Get off the I, me, and let's see how we can all come up together.
Yeah. And so let's flip this a little bit, because you all came to the event. Lady Des, you came, you were honored, you got an award, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to just kind of take over y'all little interview. MJ, you came and you was surprised. You actually wearing your award around your neck. And so being people who are in the community, you guys are doing your thing with the radio show and with all of that. So when you come into an event like this and you talk about, okay, yeah, these speakers was this, that, and the third. My question is always this: when the event is over and it's all said and done, And yeah, we can go back and we can send you out forms to rate the speakers and all of that. But the whole purpose of what's being created and what God is trying to establish through Glenn and Alphesia Payne with the Rise Up Wealth Summits is that generational wealth building, that legacy creation is, were you impacted enough to now begin making changes in your own life, in your own business, in your own legacy? What did you take away and you apply, and how does this event and all that we're talking about today, because you said, I heard you say, hey, me and MJ, we've been talking about this week, we were talking about different things. And so coming off of this summit, I would like, as a speaker, as someone who shared on the stage, who poured out for 2 years in a row some of the same things, what are you guys' takeaway, and how do you apply what all of the speakers, because sometimes we may not be able to take away and apply everything because maybe we're already doing certain things, but the ones that were there, what have you been able to apply to your life in almost 30 days from this Wealth Summit? And what is the impact that it's made so far for you and for your family?
Well, I'll go first because Lady Diz, I don't have a filter. I listened very much to what was that Brianna was saying, when it came down to credit. And the most important thing that she said to me was that, you know what, how many of you, and I think you said it also, Sharice, how many of you have a legitimate business? Not that you got a business, but you got your LLC, yes, all of your dots, yes, all of your I's dotted and your T's crossed. I had to go back.
Yeah.
I had to go back and apply some of that to make sure that I was where I needed to be. Not only that, from what I took from it, Lady Des and myself, we started telling people, listen, Rise Up Summit, if you wasn't there, then you need to watch the replays, the ones that were online, or you need to be at the next one. So I began to apply things like that. And then I began to watch, like Dr. Jessica, a little of the stocks a little more, because she broke it down real quickly, but enough to where you can understand, okay, well, now if I invest a little bit of money that I got over here, then maybe I can get 80,000 too in 15 minutes. So those are all the things, it's like, it's little things like that you look at and you say you have to learn to apply. And then when you look at, or when I take in what Mark said, it's all about the mindset. And one of the most powerful things that you can do is affirm every day who you are, what you are, and what you're going to be. Because the more you speak, the more you believe it, the more you believe it, the more you live it.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, it was just so much. I remember walking out the door and I was like, I got to definitely make some changes.
Girl, you didn't even get out the door. We got to the lobby before.
Wait, no. First I looked at MJ and my husband. I was like, hey, what we going to do? What? It's like we cannot be in the same place.
Yeah.
You understand? We cannot even allow ourselves to be comfortable,
right,
in the same place.
That's it.
You understand? So we're mentioning Brianna a lot, right? Because I think she was just so raw and candid, even from where she came from. Look, I ain't finished school. I didn't have this, or I didn't do this, and it's like, okay, that caught my attention right off the bat. But she shared she like going to the bank. You go in that bank. Don't do nothing online. And we were able to share that with our daughter because now she's in the process of trying to buy a car. And we were able to say, no, don't fill out that online application. We're gonna go to the bank. It was like little nuggets like that I took in, and I was able to impart into my family. You understand what I'm saying? Because there has to be a change. And I was just so ready for a different move. I really was.
I want to interject just right there, because what you just said is key. And if people really caught it, what God downloaded in that brief thing about going and knowing who your banker is, that was my takeaway from her. That was a major takeaway, developing those banking relationships. But for me, what God did for me with that, he highlighted it, because anyone that knows me knows with a passion, I detest social media. With a passion, I detest it. And because social media has made it to where people can become anything that they want,
yes,
with no character and no integrity. And then people also have, it causes them not to have to learn social interaction and the art of building true, authentic relationships. And so when I took that away from Brianna, I began to reapply that, because people know me as I am the queen of networking. I am a person that will go as introverted as I am, because I am. I will, and Glenn can tell you, I will shut down for days.
She's an extroverted introvert.
listen,
I will shut
I
down.
know
are you
that
seeing
kind.
it, MJ?
Sis, you
I know
okay?
that
You okay?
kind.
You okay? But when I have to be out, I'm gonna be out. But I will find an event on Eventbrite. I will find different things. I will show up, get to meet people, because I want to see you authentically in your element. I want to know face to face if we can connect. Because on social media, anybody can post to be whatever they want to be.
Right.
And we're not taking the time to get to know them beyond the screen. And so when she said that to me, for me, it was a light bulb that said, Cherise, get back to your in-person networking, in-person fellowshipping, in-person connections, and move it off of just social media. Because yes, this works when it comes to credit, but it also works when you're trying to establish partnerships, collaborations, covenants, all these different things. You cannot do it on social media platforms, because I can pretend to be something all day long. Oh yeah, I can give you this, I can give you that, I can give you that. But when I go in and I sit down with that banker and I develop relationship,
Absolutely.
now you'll do more for me now than you will do for that application that comes through
Of
on your
course,
screen.
absolutely.
But the application doesn't have a face. It doesn't have a name attached. It
No
doesn't have any
personality, no story. No story.
Exactly.
And the thing is, and she made a point that everything online usually goes by algorithm. So
Yes.
that was just so mind blowing to me. And I thought about, I remember when we were doing some business with our house, right? And I had to make some calls, and I knew a banker, and she was like, well, Des, why are you doing it this way? I think you should do it this way. And matter of fact, I'm going to get you connected to the right banker that I know that can make that happen. And you're right. You're so right. It's all about who you know and building that personal relationship with them. And because she knew me, she knew my father, she knew my mother, she know the integrity was right, she know the motives was right. It was no schism and wisdoms or nothing like that. And it got the ball moving. It got the ball moving.
So
and I'm sitting there, I'm listening to all this, and I'm just, oh my gosh, I'm texting people. I'm like, oh my God, I have to make some changes. I have to make some adjustments.
Listen, I saw Leda's face the entire time for a good portion. So before the event, before the actual awards, her face like flint, like nothing could talk to. She's like focused in. And as she gave to leave, she waved to me, but the look on her face was like, dude, I got work to do. And no one gonna mess with me on this journey. Because she already had the vision in front of her. The blueprint was already given to her. And she was adamant, I'm gonna be successful in this time of season.
Yes. I'm like, you know what? I gotta fast. I gotta pray. I'm like, I gotta do all of these things, because I'm like, God, I need you to really guide me in this season. You know, I have to be very careful, even with my surroundings and my connections and different things of that sort. And I'm very particular about that. But I mean, the whole conference was just mind blowing. You know, I'm sitting down, and after I got literally settled, here is Mark Coley up there banging about mindset and how people, oh, I see you got you a little business. I see you got you a little radio show and little this. He was like, no, don't
it
take
ain't
that.
little. This show ain't.
There ain't nothing little about it. And
Nothing,
it's
baby.
and he took practical, relevant things that we know that people say to us. And then we take it as, yeah, it's not all that. It's and no,
It
you have-
is.
you
That a whole bag of chips. It's a whole.
Yeah,
It's
it
all
was,
that and then
it
some.
was just so many nuggets. It was so many different nuggets, Sharice, that we took away from. And like I said, you just basically closed it out. And even with a lot of things you said tonight, and those of you who are listening to this live, this is what you miss. You think you're hearing it from Sharice Lenore? You should have heard Brianna Anderson, Mark Coley, and I don't want to leave nobody out, and all the rest of them. They were on that same wavelength of teaching and showing us.
I hate to interrupt you, but also I forget the gentleman's name, but the gentleman who came out and said, you know what, I am an expert. I have 17 years in correction.
Oh my
Yes,
Giovanni Saria.
Giovanni, baby. Yes,
what is his name?
Giovanni.
Giovanni. Yes.
Definitely the real deal. We're talking about somebody that went, did time, and turned it around.
And making the money now from that.
Listen,
right?
he was in prison saying, I am a prison consultant.
Yes.
What is that? They were like, well, what is that?
And see, that is what mindset is. So it's bigger than me just saying, oh, my business ain't little. You can say it, but you got to believe it. And people only say what you allow them to say and what you accept. So people gonna call everything you got going on, this over here, oh, you doing a little event over there, or you got a little radio show, because they feed off of our energy. They feed off of how we feel. Why? Because if I come to you and I pay you a compliment, we've been programmed not to accept compliments. Oh, Lady Des, I love your show. Oh, girl, it's just a little something.
And I'm
well,
still
you
learning.
Release that in the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
And because you release that in the atmosphere, you have given little authority over anything that you do. So when other people come and say it, it is not them downing it. They've come into agreement with what you released.
So awesome. I can listen. So what she's saying right there, she's saying right there, I faced it this year where I was having negative thoughts about this own event. So imagine me giving birth to a baby, but still talking death over my baby.
Yes.
Because of what I saw and what people kept telling me in my ears. People were in my ears, this not going to work. Why you waste your time doing this? And I started to feel down by that because I couldn't see the stuff happening. Then sponsors would leave, sponsors backed up because they could no longer support because of financial situations, or people who said they're going to come with vendors suddenly say, hey, I can't come no more. I got another event that's more important.
Well, guess who missed out?
Huh?
Guess who missed out? They did. Exactly. Because what was meant for you on that day was meant for you. Just like Cherie said, yes, me and Lady Des has a radio show, but I can't do what Lady Des does. Because that's not my vein. She can't do what I do because that ain't her vein. So everybody that was supposed to be at that summit, Glenn, and we said it that day, everybody that was supposed to be there was there.
Exactly. And what I learned was I started to change the words of what I was feeling. So instead of me saying I'm scared, I'm victorious. Or I started to post, this is going to be a successful event.
Absolutely.
Even though I had to block my ears. I think I mentioned on stage that I even had a few nights of panic attacks over an event. Never happened all my years. I'm 40 something. I ain't gonna say full year. I'm 40 something. None of y'all even know my dang on business. I'm 40. I'm 40 something. And I never had any of those panic attacks. But this is like my 6th year of doing this. And it's like, to me, robotic. Like, because God actually downloads to me. Like, MJ wasn't joking. I already have 2 years planned out. Awesome. Because God used to give me 1 year at a time. Then this year he gave me 2. The year I was the most stressed out, I'm like, God, this don't make no sense. How you give me 2025 and 2026? And I can't even figure out 2024. And a pastor friend told me, because he already paid all for 2024, just got to walk it out. Then Sharice came behind me. Then Genevieve came behind me. Glenn, don't quit. I was supposed to postpone this event till June. I'm glad I did not, because guess what? Who was supposed to be there was supposed to be there. And the effect, I saw people walk out that room with their whole face, their mindset shifted. They walked in one way and left the room transformed. Hence the word elevated 360. Every single area of life shifted.
It was not an ordinary conference. It was not. It was when I used the word phenomenal when I DM'd you, and that's exactly what it was. It was just above and beyond and mind blowing, even down to the food.
Listen, I already told Chef out. Listen, girl, we have to kill some of those menu items because people been saying I love them, but they can't come again next year again. So I told her we're gonna find a new menu. I got some items in my head right now that are gonna blow your minds. We gonna elevate. It was
delicious.
Listen, that John rice had people. That salmon, honey glazed the bourbon glazed salmon.
Yes,
listen, we ran on that fish so fast. People saying, "Can you go make some more fish in the back?"
MJ, how upset was I when I left my leftover?
Glenn, she left her plate of
food. I know
left her plate of food when we got downstairs. I was like, "There's."
Oh, that was your food?
Yep, it was.
I saw it. We were asking, who was this? I'm like, well, I don't know.
Let me tell you,
you never left. If you had told us, we'd have pulled back and say, "Hey, come, here's your food," but you didn't say anything.
I was flipping out about that food. I think I talked about that must be 3 days straight.
Yeah, and she did.
Listen, I got my rice in a to-go container because I told him I don't care what y'all have at that. I just need me some black rice. I went and got my container. I went and put it in my book bag.
Yes, she did. She did. 2 years later, she did it.
Sharice, how hard was it to PR for the Rise Up Summit?
I'm going to be completely honest. So the last 2 years, PR for it has had its challenges. One, me being in Texas, the summit taking place in South Florida with a lot of different things, not really having a lot of support in the South Florida region when it comes to this event. That's why it was important for the people that was in the room this year. Because one thing you can say is this: when you all got the call about getting the award and coming, it was like, oh, okay, I know y'all did the interview with Glenn and y'all talked about that, but it was still like, okay, but what is this? But what is it? Coming and seeing, this is a type of event that has to be experienced for people to get it.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
It has to be experienced for you to get it. Because either God is connecting you or he's not. Doing PR for conferences as a whole is not an easy task, period, anymore. Why? Because so many people are doing what appears to be the same thing with the same result, with nothing changing, just to say that I did an event. And so when you're trying to get in touch with radio shows or you're trying to get in touch with news stations, you have to be able to produce the evidence or say, why. And so even inviting them to, hey, let me give you a PR pass to come in and to sit and to see and to experience or whatever. It is that selling point of explaining why it is important that you need to be there and why everybody in South Florida. And the reality of it is, I don't feel like this is limited to South Florida. I think that what is happening with the Rise Up Summit from a PR standpoint, that the PR needs to now be worldwide. Because what happens in that room, there are people in Montana that need it, California that need it, New York that need it, Chicago that need it, North Carolina that need it. If I can get on a plane and I can fly to a conference for some big name and leave there After I done ran and shouted and touched my neighbor and turned around 3 times and fell and spoke in a tongue and got up the same way with no application, with nothing that changes, why not take that money and invest and come and sit and learn things that is going to not just help me, but help future generations? And so I think the challenge now is getting this out on a broader platform, having individuals like you who are in the public eye, who have a radio show, who have all of these things to come and experience and then come back and give the recap. Because what does it do? It adds value to what's being taken place, but it also allows people to hear real life experiences of individuals that came, that saw, and that have applied. And so the first year, trying to get people out and things like that, it was a little hard. Most people were like, oh, it's last minute, it's last minute, it's last minute, because I didn't start working with it until late. This year, some of the same things. I don't know what 2024 came in doing, but it started lifing, and you saw major corporations and big companies going through some financial things. And so trying to get the funds from them was hard. It is very hard. Trying to get people to show up was hard, but also doing the research ahead of time to make sure you're not competing with other major events is key. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the hardest tasks, being that, yes, I help out on this, but I also have other projects. So you have to be able to dedicate that time, develop those relationships with those individuals to say, hey, this is what needs to happen. But one of the things that I think we learned this year that will be applied moving forward is, can't nobody talk about this vision the way Glenn can.
Absolutely.
And that's a truth. And one thing that God proved to him when he was going just to the storage, when he listens and obeys God to go and talk to people, God connect him like that. And so the focus this year is getting Glenn out into the face of more people, getting him to events and all of that, because you are Rise Up Wealth Summit. He is. It's the visionary. I can talk about Real Love Ministries and why people need to listen to the show, but it's a difference when Lady Des now shows up into rooms and they get to meet real love. And so the focus this year would be, the rest of 2024, is to make sure that Glenn is showing up in rooms, making connections, networking with people, and allowing people to see. And one of the things we created this year that we did not have in years before is a recap video that would literally give people an experience as if they were in that room. Being able to send that out to different platforms, send that out to potential sponsors for the future, to allow them to understand the impact. Having the testimonials of people that was in the room is really setting us up for where God is now taking this. It has finally shifted when Glenn got on that stage at the end.
Yes.
And he had to throw the mic because he went up in tongues. I knew then he finally came in alignment with God's vision. And the one thing that I understand as being a prophet of God, a woman of God first, who happens to be gifted in PR, gifted in speaking, gifted in business strategy, is that when you have a thing that God has called to be, until you become in complete alignment with that, I don't care how much PR we do, God is not going to allow things to come to pass until you come into alignment with what he said. That moment in time when Glenn did what he did, there wasn't a complete alignment of him connecting to God's vision. It was no longer Glenn's vision. It's now 100% God's vision. So 2025 and beyond, I think that what you all are going to see is something much bigger. It's going to be a first come, first serve when it comes to tickets. It's going to be that if you ain't got your tickets, as soon as ticket sales come out, you ain't going to be able to get in that building. It's going to be different radio stations, television networks fighting to get VIP passes to be in that room, because every year God teaches us something different and we go bigger and bigger and bigger. And 2025 ain't going to be no different. And so the last 2 years allowed me to learn some valuable lessons on how things are flowing now in South Florida. Though I'm from there, I've been gone from South Florida since 1999. And
Wow.
so the people I knew then, the connections I had then, you know, they're grown up. It's now their kids and their kids' kids that's over these stations and over these networks. So relationship is important. And for me, I build great relationships in person, because what makes my email stands out when you and you yourself, I can imagine how many emails that you all get of people pitching ideas to be on your show, pitching ideas for you to come and you to cover different things. And so it's different now. If I reach out to you now and I send an email after spending time with you, after you hear what I bring to the table. Now, if I send Lady Des and MJ an email and say, hey, I'm going to be at an event in South Florida on this day, I would love for you guys to come cover it, and you got 50 emails in your inbox, how likely will you be to read my email and respond now that you know me?
Of course, right at the top. Boop.
Right at the top.
Once you see the name.
And so it's about that relationship building. It goes back to what I said before. You know, we're trying to do things based on how society is trying to force us to be in social media, when some things need to remain how it used to be, and that's person to person development. And so going back to that.
Sharice, absolutely. There's only one thing that you said that I disagree with.
What's that?
And that is, recap or not, they will not get the same experience of being in the room that day. It will not. It doesn't even come close. Even with us still talking about it, it does not come close to the feeling that was in that room, to the networking that was taking place, to the overall feel, to hearing Glenn become emotional about what it was that God laid upon him, to hearing the MC literally lay hands and say, listen, this is how this all came about. We can give you a recap, but you have to be in the room. It's just like watching a Beyonce replay concert. It's not going to be the same as being there that night, feeling that feeling. So people, listen, the next time you hear about a Rise Up Summit taking place, you can watch a recap all you want to, but it's not going to give you that feeling.
No, it's definitely not going to give them the feeling, but it will definitely allow them to understand more. See, before, not having nothing to provide them, I can give you paperwork, I can send you beautiful flyers and artistry and all of that, and it means nothing. I can show you, I got this person, that person speaking. Them people don't know us. Mm-hmm. They don't know any of those.
I think just giving them that inside,
right? When you
and what took place, and then hearing the testimonial, and don't get me wrong, MJ, you are completely right, because it's like sometimes you have gone to so many conferences and so many workshops. It's just like, and you know me, anybody that really know me,
no, all over the place.
No, not only that I'm all over the place, I will fall asleep
in a minute.
Me too.
In a minute.
Like, I can't. Please don't talk to me or talk like from long periods of time, and don't let it be cold or cool in the place. And I'm comfortable. I'm drifting. I'm going to drift, and you're going to lose me.
Yeah.
But the whole time, I must say, I did not fall asleep. I was very focused and attentive because I knew that this was different. This was a different conference. This was a different workshop type of feel. This was different from what I was accustomed to.
And Des, you know, another thing that I found that was top notch to me. A lot of times when you go to conferences, the speakers, they're going to give you whatever their spiel is, so to say. And
Mhm.
then after they're done, they're gonna go behind stage and you won't see them again.
Right.
Glenn made sure that these people were touchable. They were right there in front of you when the conference was over. Nobody had an ego, nobody had an attitude. They was there answering questions, taking pictures, hugging, buying
And
whatever
supporting the
vendors were
other
selling.
speakers.
Exactly. You don't get that at a lot of conferences. A lot of times it's like, okay, well, I'm here, I'm speaking, I'm selling a book, buy my book, I'll autograph it for you, but it's already autographed, so I'm gone. You can go over there and get it. That did not happen at Rise Up.
Yeah.
You were able to physically walk up and get extra nuggets from people like Mark and people like Brianna. And it was just that free. It wasn't free, but it was just that easy to walk up to these people and say, hey, I heard what you said, but how do I do X, Y, and Z again?
Right. Right.
And
And
they
they had no problem in telling you and sharing again. So listen, y'all, I can't believe it's almost 10 o'clock.
So wait, so one quick question. Are you guys taking opportunity at a free class for Dr. Jessica?
I'm enrolled.
You're enrolled.
I'm enrolled.
I didn't enroll.
I text her. I get texts every day.
Do you want to go?
That's the class out of town, right?
Yes.
I got to move some stuff around.
Lady Des, you want to go? Because guess what? I still have my seat and my wife has a seat. And I can't go.
Unfortunately, I can't go. I can't go due to other events that's going on during that same time. But let me tell you,
I'm not surprised. So this also is the first year that we evolved, that we did a hybrid. So while you guys were in the room sitting down getting all the good nuggets, we had streaming. We had our first class production company called TNZ Media.
Yes.
Made my event look like a multi-million-dollar event, streaming live with multiple cameras. I went behind the guy was like camera 1, camera 2, and they were like different shots of his speakers.
MJ, what did I say about the cameraman?
Listen, that man was working hard that day. He didn't sit down for 2 minutes.
He was working hard for his money. That song was playing. He worked hard for his money. Well, trust me, he worked it.
They were making sure that they got the shot. Let me tell you.
Listen,
then Sharice was like, hold on, let me take this thing off. He went up there, he was helping her take the mic, gave her another mic, and did this.
He is the hardest working man in production. I will forever rock with TNZ. Whenever I need them and I call, they showing up. He will jump on the plane and he will come. I've had him come out to Texas to do events for me. I've had him go to Georgia to do events. He's been to Kenya doing events. He's been out of the country. And so when you have a great team and you develop a great network, people will show up. I done already talked to y'all about, hey, let's come do some stuff with this television network. Let's do some things. Because that's what it's about. And when you have an event like this, you can't build generational wealth by yourself. And I think that is one of the biggest messages that Glenn is trying to get across. It is not singular. It takes a village.
And he had a phenomenal team too. He had a phenomenal team on stage with him.
And everybody understanding what that vision is to carry it out.
Let me just say this. We definitely got to give props to Miss LaWanda Will Be LaWanda.
Come on. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
The way God uses her to recap what took place, to bring everything in order, to grab the attention of the people in the room. She is a beast at what she does. Last year when I met her for the first time, I was blown away. I was taking notes, and anything that I missed, I knew when she got up there, I was going to be able to get what I got. And so even having that, it's so key to make sure everything works together at events, at things that you're trying to. So I definitely want to acknowledge her. Glenn has an amazing team working behind him, his beautiful wife Alphisha. He has an amazing board members that stand behind him and that support. Definitely want to publicly acknowledge and send condolences to one of the board members, Tracy, who lost a family member. So she's in our thoughts and our prayers.
Wow.
But just having a key team is very, very, very important. And I think without the team, you would not have been able to experience. Glenn is definitely the visionary. His vision is big. And if he could have done everything that he was sending us,
listen,
y'all would have been like, what in the world? Like you thought what you saw was excellent, and it was. But if he had the
quarter, it was a quarter of the entire vision you guys got.
Blown away is an understatement. Like, the vision is beautiful, but I know God is just preparing him for what's to come. So I thank you guys for creating space, creating opportunity, and even for wanting to have this conversation to recap and to get people excited, because the Wealth Summit isn't going anywhere anytime soon. We're gearing up for 2025. And now that we've risen up and we elevated you, now it's time to unleash you. And so in 2025, we unleash everything, and it's going to be bigger and it's going to be better and all of those good things. So I'm excited to see.
So the date is April 26th.
Put that on my calendar right now.
April 26, 2025, and the theme is Unleash.
Unleash. Wow, that is awesome. And I just want to say thank you to you all for taking out the time tonight to come and be a part, because the Rise Up Summit, the Wealth Summit, wasn't just a title. It carried substance. And I love to be behind something that carries substance, and that's going to make a great impact in the lives of others. And Glenn, listen, your vision is big, because Glenn was calling me and he was, and this and Lady Des and Lady, listen, and just to see it manifested, I felt you at the end completely. And to God be the glory, because you did not give up. You did not throw in the towel. And we need leaders like you to continue to persevere. But I know that it wasn't just you. You had a team behind you holding up your hands and saying, no, if you give up, that means all of us fail. And we cannot do that.
And he couldn't give up because not only did he have a team behind him, but then he got somebody who just was like, you know what? I was sitting in your summit last year and I just wrote a theme song. How can you lose like that?
Absolutely.
Oh, Lord.
Absolutely.
And then he gonna try to give you a little, well, Glenn, I'm thank you. I'm like, don't start. No, please make me cry my little buggers off.
So Glenn, as we close this out, right, we want to talk about the honorees real quick. We have 5 minutes, and I just want to personally thank you for whatever it was, God, whatever it was that you saw in me to say, I want to honor Lady Des and so many others at this Rise Up Wealth Summit. I greatly appreciate it. Because I'm telling you, I walked in that room, I'm like, Lord, this got to be you. This has to be your doing. What was that like, just choosing the honorees that you're going to honor this year?
So for me, let me give you a little joke behind this also too. The honorees for 2025, half of them are already picked already.
Wow.
Literally, because God has been speaking to me. So before I even called you in 2024, 2023, God said, he literally heard names being dropped and say, Lady Des, Joseph Madeline, Mark Coley, this person. I'm like, huh? There's even 2 individuals who couldn't make it on the list because they couldn't accept it at a time. Literally, I hear the names come to me and I say, God, who is this person? I go online, I look them up, and exactly they align to our vision or what they do in the community is just phenomenal. Joseph Madeline. A lot of people don't know the story behind. All I see him as a lawyer. But if you got to know the backhand story of this man, a philanthropist, a guy who will literally take a shirt off his back, the guy who came on my pre-show and rocked it to the point people are saying, is he one of your speakers? Because he was talking about finances. This Italian guy with Italian grandma, Nonna, who taught him everything he knows, was talking about finances, but he's a lawyer who fights for what? Slip and falls, criminal files. But still, the people we selected, God dropped them in our spirit, and then we just simply went through the list and validated and say, okay, God, you say move, we say move. So one of the people coming next year is actually a celebrity.
Wow.
Influencer celebrity that's being nominated and it's coming in. So next year we're doing something a little different. Some people are automatically selected because whoever I pick is just in, that's just me. But everybody else who comes in, there'll be a nomination and a vote, online voting. So you can actually click and vote, like big nominees, that type of stuff.
Okay,
that's what we're trying to bring. What?
What's that link?
The link ain't up yet, sir, because your fingers too fast. But Lady Des does have opportunity and privilege as an honoree that she can come to Rise Up for the next year at no cost. Every honoree can come to Rise Up the following year at no cost. That's actually a perk. And not just attend, VIP.
I get another shout.
No. Then you also get a nomination. You get to also pick a nomination for the next year as well. So that's what the honorees have. One of my honorees actually was a sponsor of Rise Up because he saw what we did last year. He said, I have this. What do you need? Even today we had a call and he's already asking me, how can we get more people in that room?
Absolutely.
What do you need from me or from others to get people? Because Glenn, this is a movement that has to go bigger. Well, there's gone. She fell a chair. Oh Lord, she fell a chair. There's this.
You see what you did to her? See what you did to her?
No, but seriously though, literally, when someone comes back and says, "What can I do for you?" Okay, here's a little thing too. I took my role. I'm now been working for a year and a month now in my current job. I met my boss, my CEO of the company, a year and a half ago. And when we first met, he said, okay, what do you need? He came down last year to the event, 2023, and he came down early just to help set up my event. Because he says, Glenn, you have to work because someone hired you. I don't know who hired, but you got hired. So I'll come and actually work for you while you're home working for me. A CEO took a flight from New York just to come onto my little, I don't say little, but just my event to move tables, build stuff, and then and still sponsor the event.
Come on. And it just tells you that God is in all of this.
I remember what something the one told me. She said, Glenn, how in the world do you get these speakers? These speakers ain't cheap, but they come and they give it either for free or they charge like pennies. She said, I know what it is though. I said, what? It's God tells them the vision and they like, whoa, I gotta be part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why it was so different. And I believe not only myself and MJ, my husband, everybody felt a difference there. It's like, this is the real deal. It's no fluff in this at all. So Glenn, I commend you. Sharice, I commend you. Your wife, your wonderful wife, Afisha Payne. Afisha, we give a big shout out to you because I can only imagine
all that Glenn put her through.
Sharice knows half the story, so she's shaking her like, pray for Glenn.
I can only imagine like the mindset and like what she went through as far as dealing with Glenn with the holy with the holy thing.
She was my therapist.
Thank God for Alphisha.
Yes, but that is the beauty of having
give her patience.
Yeah.
To continue to give her the word to speak over her husband.
Yes,
Power in her hands to lay hands on that head of his and that mind.
Absolutely.
She's a grace gift.
Yes. And just to the whole entire team. And Glenn, I just want to look, y'all. Look at this. This ain't no certificate, no paper certificate that they printed up.
Crystal.
This is actual crystal, y'all. I don't know if y'all can see this.
Baby, they ain't got to see it. It was so heavy, I almost dropped it.
It is heavy.
Wait,
This
almost dropped.
I almost
MJ.
dropped it. I needed 3 hands for that. Both of
It is
mine and
very
hers.
heavy.
It was
And
really.
Glenn, you just didn't give us anything.
Mhm.
You gave us your heart. You literally gave us your heart. And I believe that I'm gonna try not to cry.
Water
And
bag.
you don't because and MJ know that it's like when people are being nice, they don't have to do that. They don't have to do that. And a lot of times I've been to events where they were concerned more about the money than the people.
Yeah.
They were concerned more about the profit than the people. And it's like, I'm going to give you anything, but I'm going to keep everything.
Mhm.
But this wasn't it. This wasn't at that conference. You gave your very best. This is an all crystal. And this wasn't just it. MJ got a medallion in our bag. In our bags, we have very nice pens and notebooks
Yeah.
and
Girl, we got
the
a tumbler.
keychain.
And
The
a tumbler.
keychain is
What did you get?
also
What you
crystal.
say?
I got my tumbler.
He finally got his tumbler. That's
And
what he's
I
trying
got
to
a tumbler too. It was just well thought out.
Well thought out. Agreed.
Well thought out and with the care of the people. Like I said, you gave us your heart. You showed us where your heart really is and where it's going to continue to be. So I just want to personally say thank you. Thank you. Because I've done many events and I know what it takes to pour into something like this. And it may take out of your own pocket and all of that. But whatever it took to make it great and successful, you did that, Glenn. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Any last words? It's 10:05 and MJ must really love y'all because he does not take my call after 8:30. So
I know.
Yeah, sleep. Listen, I just want to say real quick, Glenn, I appreciate you. It was an honor for you to even allow me to grace the stage to present my friend, and then for you to do what you did for me, totally unexpected. And like I said, I'm there for you. If you need, I'm a phone call away. Sharice, we got big works to do. We wanted to make sure your birthday got passed and you went on vacation and did all of that. But listen, we are going to make sure that Rise Up becomes a name that everybody knows. I am committed. So just know you have my word on that. And that's all I have to say besides thank you. Look what I got.
And that's the one. That's a limited. That's the last time you'll see that medallion look like that. That's the 5th anniversary. After that, it's been. That's it.
wow.
So I don't made history.
You got to I would just
You made history, boo.
listen, you got a collectible piece.
It is. The
Wow.
tumbler never come back again. Tumblers are gone. Never been seen again. The swag bag gone. Never seen again. Everything you guys saw this year is no longer. God's already gave me the new one, the new vision, new blueprint. So I can't wait.
And it is amazing. I got a sneak peek and it's amazing. So I just want to say thank you for an amazing opportunity. I'm excited for what God is going to do, not just in 2025, but in the years to come. I can't wait to have the people come back to the conference and get on stage and share their testimonies of what they applied and where they are now on their generational wealth building journey, on their legacy creation journey. I think it is so important. One of my favorite parts was the panel, which we had to kind of cut short, but it's so needed. And hearing the different perspectives, different voices, different things, it's an ongoing conversation that should not be stuck in just to a conference, but it should be something ongoing that we're talking about and we're actually doing something about on a regular basis. So thank you for platforms like this and for making space on Real Love Ministries Live for these type of conversations to take place, to begin to drop nuggets in people that listen live in the chat room and those that will watch the replay, because it is necessary. And without you, we wouldn't be here. So I appreciate you, Lady Des. I appreciate you, MJ. Thank you for all that you do and how you show up on a daily basis, even with your show as well. Thank you, Glenn, for continuing to allow God to use you in such a great way to create experiences for individuals to really start their legacy building journey. And one thing, I don't know if people know this, and I'm going to get out the way. Rise Up is a conference that takes place once a year, but Legacy Lives Here is a nonprofit organization that's showing up in the community 24/7, 365 days. And so when people connect with Glenn and go to his website, which I'll have him share, they'll get to see that we don't just show up once a year. They're doing things in the community throughout the year to show that we're not just here to give you this cute conference, but this conference is just a portion of who he is in his local community, how he shows up with the food drives, with the, during Christmas, he went into the store and he just started giving people gift cards to be able to purchase groceries and things of that nature, clothing drives, just different things that they do. So this is a year-round initiative, and one of the big coming togethers is the actual conference in April. But Legacy Lives Here doesn't stop after that conference. We're just getting started. So thank you, guys. I hope you visit the website, www.legacyliveshere.org. Look for ways to partner, look for ways to sponsor, not just a conference, but sponsoring a family in your local community, sponsoring a child to be a part of this summit, to learn what they need to learn, because it's bigger than us. We're trying to not just present you with something fun to do over a course of a weekend, but we're trying to present you with something that can literally change the trajectory of your entire family, of your entire bloodline, and not just that one day, but every day. So check out the website, connect with Glenn Payne, and join us on this journey.
Now that's how a PR does it.
Come on now. That's just how they do it. That's just how they do it. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one who is in the chat that have been listening. LaWanda will be LaWanda. Thank you so much. Melissa Jane. She was media personnel as well at the conference. She's on. Dr. Michelle Moore. Thank you so very much. Tamika Duncan, it was good to see you at the conference. Thank you. Maisha Carswell, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, just for tuning in and being a part. Marcus Fowler of TNZ. Yes, TNZ. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you all. And remember to please go to www.legacyliveshere.org to find out everything about the Rise Up Wealth Summit. Legacy Lives Here, what they're all about, what they're doing in the community, and follow them also on social media. Listen, everybody, it's 10:11. We almost talked for 2 hours, but I believe that it was a 2 hour or an hour and 45 minutes that was golfed in substance of empowerment and raising that next generation to elevate to the next level. So thank you all so much. MJ, thank you, man. You held in there.
Thank you.
I need some toothpicks for my eyes, but that's another story.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you all so very much for tuning in and listening. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Night. Thank you.
Good night. Take care.
Good night.